The late afternoon sky over Portland hung heavy and gray, a watercolor wash of clouds that seemed to press down on the quiet streets. Rain drummed steadily against the tin roof of Thompson Auto Care, a small garage squeezed between a coffee shop and a thrift store on Belmont Street. Inside, Marcus Thompson stood near his workbench, wiping the stubborn traces of motor oil from his calloused hands. The place smelled faintly of steel, grease, and the bitter coffee he'd brewed hours ago. Outside, an engine coughed and sputtered before dying altogether. Through the fogged-up garage window, Marcus caught sight of movement, a lone figure in the downpour. A woman, her black leather jacket soaked through, stood beside a vintage Harley-Davidson. Her dark hair clung to her cheeks, rain dripping from the tips. She didn't wave for help, didn't pull out her phone. She just stood there, motionless except for the slight tremor in her shoulders. Marcus knew that stance. He'd been there himself, stranded beside something broken, unsure which piece had truly failed, the machine or himself. Without thinking, he set down the rag and pushed open the garage door. The rain hit him like cold needles, but he crossed the street anyway. Neither of them knew it yet, but that small act, stepping into the rain for a stranger, would alter the course of their lives. Marcus was 34, owner of this modest garage for nearly a decade. He wasn't rich, but he was steady. The walls of the shop told his story in quiet details. Letters from grateful customers pinned neatly to corkboard, a shelf of worn manuals, and a single faded photograph. In the picture, a younger Marcus stood grinning beside a red muscle car, one arm around a blonde woman whose smile lit up the frame. Sarah. 2 years earlier, breast cancer had stolen her at only 29. Marcus could still hear her voice from those last nights in the hospital, her hand gripping his. Teach Lily to be kind. And don't forget to love yourself again. In the months after, Marcus had moved through life like an engine on idle, working, sleeping, caring for his daughter, Lily, and nothing else. His grief was so deep it swallowed everyday needs. He skipped meals, let his hair grow ragged, and lost the habit of smiling until one night Lily, only 6, had asked softly, "Daddy, why didn't you smile like when Mommy was alive?" Slowly, he learned to live again, though carefully, as if happiness might shatter if handled wrong. Mornings began with heart-shaped pancakes or scrambled eggs on toast for Lily, who would chatter about her dreams while swinging her legs in the kitchen. By 8, the garage opened its doors. His customers weren't wealthy. Taxi drivers, delivery workers, students nursing ancient cars. He kept his prices fair, sometimes refusing payment altogether if someone was truly in a bind. Marcus never advertised this kindness. It was simply how he believed the world should work. Every afternoon, he picked up Lily from school. She'd sit at a corner table in the shop with her homework, occasionally asking questions like, "What does this part do?" Marcus would explain patiently, comparing the transmission to human emotions. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, always needing care. Evenings were quiet. After Lily went to bed, Marcus often sat in the backyard with a beer, gazing at the stars, feeling the familiar weight of solitude. He hadn't dated since Sarah's death, not because he didn't feel lonely, but because he feared losing someone again, and feared even more that Lily might lose another person she'd learned to love. On weekends, they wandered Powell's books or strolled through Washington Park. Lily sometimes perched on his shoulders, pointing out sleek, beautiful cars. "When will you fix cars like those, Daddy?" she'd ask. He'd smile and say, "The most beautiful cars aren't the expensive ones, sweetheart. They're the ones loved by the mechanic who cares for them." He didn't know those words would soon take on a meaning far beyond engines. That night, as the rain streamed down his face, Marcus reached the woman with the Harley. Her eyes met his, striking, but shadowed with something heavier than the storm. "What's wrong with your bike?" he asked, voice low over the rain. "I'm not sure," she replied, shivering slightly. "It just died." Marcus crouched, giving the bike a quick glance. "Come inside," he said after a moment. "You're soaked. I'll take a look." She hesitated, then followed him into the warm light of the garage. Neither of them knew it yet, but this was the first page of a story neither had expected to write. Elena Vasquez had built an empire out of code, persistence, and an unshakable belief that she could outrun the life she was born into. At 31, she was the CEO of Vasquez Tech, a company valued at $2.8 billion, with headquarters perched high above San Francisco Bay. To the world, she was the tech queen under 35, as Forbes had once dubbed her. To her board of directors, she was the sharpest mind in the room, precise, demanding, and unflinching under pressure. Her office occupied the entire 40th floor, the walls lined with abstract art worth more than her parents' first home. On clear days, she could see sailboats speckling the bay, the bridges stretching like ribbons over water. It was a view most people would kill for, but Elena rarely noticed it anymore. By the time night fell and the city lights glittered beneath her, she was often still seated behind her desk, staring at her own reflection in the glass rather than the skyline. Last week, she'd ended her engagement. David Sterlinger had the kind of pedigree that magazines like to photograph. Tall, charming, heir to an old Wall Street banking family. The proposal had seemed perfect on paper. Two powerful names, merging portfolios as neatly as lives. But over dinner at a 3-star Michelin restaurant, David had said something that turned her stomach. "You know, Elena, when we marry, my portfolio will increase by at least 30%. Your company fits beautifully into my family's investments." It was spoken as casually as one might discuss the weather, while slicing into a perfectly cooked fillet. She'd set down her fork and asked, "Do you even remember what my favorite color is? Or my favorite food?" David had blinked, forced a laugh. Color? Blue. And food? Sushi. He was wrong on both counts. Elena hated sushi, and her favorite color had always been the warm earth brown of the New Mexico fields she'd run through as a child. Her parents had been working class to the bone, her mother cleaning offices at night, her father fixing whatever broke in the neighborhood. There had never been much money, but there had been grit, and Elena had inherited it in full. She earned scholarships to MIT, working the morning shift at a coffee shop and coding through the night just to keep her dreams afloat. Back then, her ambition was simple. Build something that would help people, and earn enough to take her parents on the trips they'd only seen in magazines. She had done both. Vasquez Tech soared. Her parents now lived in Santa Fe, retired and traveling the world. But somewhere along the way, Elena had misplaced herself. Success had a strange way of building walls, glass ones, where everyone could see her, but no one could touch her. Endless meetings filled her days, and charity galas filled her nights. Every interaction felt transactional. Every relationship a chess move. She was admired, envied, photographed, but never really known. The week after breaking off the engagement, she'd looked around her penthouse and realized that every single item in it could be replaced without changing her life at all. The thought made her feel hollow. She called her assistant. "I'm taking 2 weeks off. Cancel everything." When Jessica asked where she was going, Elena simply said, "I don't know," and ended the call. Her Harley Davidson, a birthday gift she'd bought herself at 30 but had barely ridden, waited in the corner of her garage. She threw on her jacket, strapped a duffel bag to the back, and left without a map, heading north. The first hours were a blur of coastal wind and the hum of the engine. California fell behind her, replaced by Oregon's forests and winding roads. With every mile, she felt lighter. She deliberately let her phone die somewhere outside Eugene, savoring the silence. It was somewhere outside Portland that the rain found her. Heavy, silver sheets against her skin, soaking her hair under the helmet. She pulled over to dig out her rain gear, but when she hit the starter, the Harley coughed once, twice, then went still. She tried again. Nothing. A year ago, she might have called a car service or had the bike towed to a premium repair shop without blinking. But now, she didn't even have a working phone. For the first time in years, she realized she couldn't buy her way out of a situation, and to her surprise, she didn't want to. She wanted to figure it out, to rely on something other than a credit card or her name. Across the street, through the curtain of rain, she saw the glow of a small garage. The sign was modest, almost old-fashioned. Thompson Auto Care. There was nothing slick about it. No neon, no glass facade, no marketing polish. Just a warm light in the dark. Elena hesitated. She'd spent so long building an identity that came with expectations. She wasn't sure how to approach someone without it. Would he recognize her? Would he care? Would it matter? She didn't know, but the rain was relentless. When the man emerged from the garage, oil-stained rag in hand, she almost told him not to bother. But something about the way he looked at her, steady, without judgment or hurry, made her stay quiet. "What's wrong with your bike?" he asked. "It just died," she admitted, her voice smaller than she intended. He crouched beside the Harley, checked a few things, and then met her eyes. "Come inside. You're soaked. I'll take a look." The garage smelled faintly of coffee and warm metal. She took a seat on a plastic chair while he worked, deliberate, methodical, hands moving like someone who understood machines as living things. After 15 minutes, he straightened. "Fuel lines are clogged. Probably from sitting too long. I can fix it, but we'll have to wait for the rain to ease up." "How much will it cost?" she asked automatically. $50, he said without glancing up. She blinked. "Are you sure?" "I can pay more." That got his attention. He set the wrench down, studying her with a faint crease between his brows. "Why would you want to pay more? The work's worth $50. The simplicity of it rattled her. In her world, higher price meant higher value. Always. "I just want to make sure you're fairly compensated," she said, suddenly aware of how hollow it sounded. "You can judge that by the result, not the price," he said, and for the first time, she saw him smile. Then a sound, light, quick footsteps. A little girl, maybe 8, appeared from the back, holding a half-eaten cookie. "Daddy, I'm hungry," she said, then paused when she spotted Elena. Her eyes lit up. "You're so pretty," the girl blurted out. Elena laughed, surprised at how natural it felt. "Thank you. What's your name?" "I'm Lily. This is my daddy. He's the best at fixing cars. He says cars are like people. They need love to run well." Elena met Marcus's eyes again, and this time she smiled too. "Then I think I haven't loved this bike enough." The rain kept falling, but the moment felt strangely warm. When Marcus offered her dinner, just spaghetti and salad, she accepted without hesitation. She couldn't remember the last time she'd sat at a table where no one was trying to close a deal. Lily told her about school, about the animals she wanted to save when she grew up. Elena listened, as though each word was gold. That night, when she left with the Harley purring again, she found herself saying, "Maybe I'll stop by again tomorrow." And she meant it. The next morning, Elena found herself riding back to Belmont Street with a flimsy excuse in mind. She wanted Marcus to check the bike again, just to make sure it was running smoothly. Marcus didn't seem surprised when she showed up. He wiped his hands on a rag, nodded toward the Harley, and got to work without much conversation. Lily was there too, hunched over a math worksheet at the side table, tongue peeking out in concentration. "Hi, Elena," she said brightly. "Want to see my drawing?" It was a lopsided cat with a giant heart on its chest. Elena knelt to admire it, and before long, the math homework was forgotten in favor of showing her every picture she'd ever drawn. Over the next few days, Elena kept finding reasons to stop by. One day it was to learn basic maintenance. Another, to bring pastries from a bakery she'd spotted downtown. She'd linger in the garage while Marcus worked, asking questions about tools and parts, laughing when she inevitably mixed them up. She noticed how Marcus never rushed, how he treated each repair like it was the most important job in the world, whether it was a delivery driver's dented bumper or an old sedan with a stubborn engine. His customers trusted him, not just because he fixed their cars, but because he treated them with quiet dignity. One afternoon, Maria from the coffee shop next door dropped off 2 steaming mugs. Spotting Elena, she raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Haven't seen Marcus this cheerful in a long time," she said before heading back outside. Elena felt a warmth spread in her chest. She didn't know if she was the reason for that change, but she wanted to be. In the late afternoons, after school, Lily would join them in the garage. Sometimes she'd help by handing Marcus the wrong wrench on purpose, just to make him laugh. Other times, she'd insist Elena stay for lunch, proudly presenting a peanut butter sandwich made with extra love. The 3 of them started to fall into a rhythm, simple, almost domestic. They'd eat together, chat about nothing important, and sometimes sit in the small backyard after dinner, watching the light fade from the sky. For Elena, it was unlike anything she'd known. No boardrooms, No investors. No one calculating what they could gain from her. Just life. But there was also an undercurrent of guilt that kept tugging at her. She hadn't told Marcus who she really was, not just a woman who worked with computers, but the CEO of one of the most watched tech companies in the country. Every day she stayed. She knew she was adding weight to the truth she'd eventually have to drop. She told herself she'd explain tomorrow. And then tomorrow. And then tomorrow again. Marcus, meanwhile, found himself anticipating her visits. He caught himself listening for the rumble of the Harley, noticed how his mood shifted when she walked in. She asked about his work in a way no one else did, not just what he was fixing, but why he liked it. She listened when he talked about Sarah, never flinching away from the grief in his voice. It was dangerous, he knew. The last time he'd let someone in, it had nearly broken him to lose her. And this time it wasn't just his heart, it was Lily's too. On Friday afternoon, the balance shattered. Elena was crouched beside Lily, helping her glue glitter stars to a piece of construction paper, when her phone, long ignored, began to buzz on the workbench. She'd been charging it in the back room that morning without thinking. Now it lit up again and again, the vibration sharp against the metal. She tried to ignore it. But when the 15th call came in, she glanced at the screen. Jessica. Just a second, she murmured, stepping away to answer. Thank God. Jessica's voice burst through. Where are you? The board's in a panic. Stock dropped 12% because no one knows where you are. Reporters are calling nonstop. Elena. Marcus's voice came from behind her. She turned, phone still in her hand. His expression was unreadable. Stock? Board of directors. Her mouth went dry. Lily looked up too, glitter still clinging to her fingers. What's going on? Elena set the phone down, unable to meet Marcus's eyes. I need to explain. She told them everything. About Vasquez Tech. About her life in San Francisco. About the ride north to escape it all. When she finished, the silence in the garage was heavier than any rainstorm. So all of this was just, Marcus's voice was low, almost dangerous. A game to you? No, she said quickly. It wasn't like that. This, you Lily, it's the most real thing I've ever felt. He shook his head. Most real? You lied to me for a week. You let me think you were just you let my daughter believe. His jaw tightened. You knew we'd treat you differently if we knew who you were. And you liked being treated like an ordinary person. It wasn't about that, Elena said, her voice trembling. I was afraid. Afraid of what? That we wouldn't measure up to your world. Lily's voice broke in, small and confused. Why are you fighting? Marcus's eyes softened when he looked at her. Go inside, Lily. But Daddy. Inside. She went, tears welling, leaving the glitter paper behind. Elena took a step toward him. Marcus, please. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, he said flatly. And the worst part? You made my daughter believe you might stay. Her throat ached. I should go. Yes. She turned toward the Harley, pausing at the door. If I weren't a CEO, if I were just Elena, would you? But you're not, Marcus said, his voice tired. And that's the problem. She left without another word. That night, the rain returned. But this time, there was no warm light drawing her in from across the street. 2 weeks passed. In San Francisco, Elena slipped back into her old life, or tried to. Meetings stacked against each other, contracts awaiting signatures, her inbox swelling with demands. From the outside, nothing had changed. She was still the woman in the tailored suit, still the headline maker in the business pages. But every time she looked out the window of her 40-story office, she didn't see the bay. She saw the soft, yellow light of a small garage in Portland. She heard Lily's laughter. She remembered the way Marcus's eyes softened when he looked at his daughter, and hardened when he looked at Elena that last day. Jessica noticed the difference. You okay, Elena? You look different. Different how? Sad. And like you're missing something. Elena didn't answer. Because Jessica was right. She was missing something. But admitting it would mean admitting she'd walked away from it. On a Tuesday afternoon, her phone rang. The caller ID showed an Oregon number she didn't recognize. She almost ignored it, but instinct made her swipe to answer. Hello. A woman's voice, trembling. Is this Elena? I'm Maria. I run the coffee shop next to Marcus's garage. You left a tip once with your number. Elena straightened in her chair. Yes, this is Elena. Is something wrong? It's Lily, Maria said, voice breaking. She had an accident. Fell off her bike, hit her head. She's at Oregon Health and Science University Hospital. She's in a coma. Marcus, Maria paused. Marcus hasn't left her side. He won't eat, won't sleep. I think. But Elena didn't need to hear the rest. I'll be there as soon as I can. She ended the call, stood, and told Jessica to cancel every meeting. Then she booked the first flight north. The 2-hour flight felt like years. Elena stared out the window, her thoughts running in jagged loops. She prayed for Lily. She prayed for Marcus. She prayed, selfishly, for a chance to make things right. By the time she reached the hospital, night had fallen. The halls smelled faintly of disinfectant and coffee gone stale. She found the room number Maria had given her and stepped inside. Marcus was there, hunched in a chair beside the bed. His clothes were wrinkled, his face pale and unshaven, eyes rimmed with red. He looked up when he saw her, surprise flickering across his face before settling into something unreadable. I came as soon as Maria called, Elena said softly. How is she? Doctors say she might need surgery, he said, his voice hoarse. My insurance won't cover it here. They want to transfer her to a public hospital. But his eyes dropped to the still figure on the bed. They don't have the neurology team she needs. Elena's gaze went to Lily. The little girl lay so still, her head bandaged, her small chest rising and falling in slow, even breaths. Machines beeped in the background, each sound both reassuring and terrifying. Elena pulled out her phone. Jessica, transfer $500,000 to Oregon Health and Science University. Patient name, Lily Thompson. And get their best neurology team on her case. Marcus's hand shot out, catching hers. Elena, I can't accept that. This isn't for you, she said firmly. It's for Lily. She deserves the best care. No arguments. His grip tightened, and for a moment, something in his expression wavered. Why did you come back? Elena met his eyes. Because I love her. And because I love you. And because this, she gestured to the three of them, even with one of them unconscious, this is the most important thing in my life. The next 3 days blurred together. Elena barely left the hospital. She slept in the chair beside Lily's bed, ate whatever she could get from the vending machines, and spent hours talking softly to the unconscious girl, telling her about faraway places, about the ocean, about the adventures still waiting for her. Marcus watched her in quiet astonishment. This wasn't the CEO from glossy magazine covers. This was a woman who read stories aloud until her voice was hoarse, who wiped Lily's face with gentle hands, who prayed when she thought no one was looking. On Wednesday morning, just after sunrise, Lily stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, and a faint, groggy voice whispered, Elena. Elena was on her feet in an instant, tears spilling. Sweetheart, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Marcus stepped closer, his hand resting lightly on his daughter's. Relief washed over his face, softening the hard lines that grief had carved there. In that moment, something shifted between him and Elena. The wall that had been there since the day she left began to crumble. A month later, Lily was fully recovered. Elena was still in Portland, not at a hotel, but in a small apartment a few blocks from the garage. She worked remotely now, handing the CEO title to her capable COO and keeping only an advisory role. Mornings, she walked Lily to school. Afternoons, she stopped by Thompson Auto Care to help Marcus, learning to change oil, check tire pressure, even repair simple issues on her own. Her designer blouses had been replaced by old t-shirts, her manicured nails by grease-stained fingers. Lily boasted to Maria one day, Elena fixed Mrs. Peterson's car all by herself. Even Daddy had to think about it. Marcus, overhearing, just smiled. That night, when the three of them sat in the backyard under the Portland stars, the air was easier between them. Not perfect, but warmer. For the first time in years, Marcus wasn't thinking about what he'd lost. He was thinking about what he might be able to keep. It was late spring in Portland, the kind of day when the air felt washed clean and the sunlight came in soft golden ribbons. In the garage, Marcus was bent over the open hood of an old pickup while Elena sorted parts at the workbench. Lily was in the corner, sprawled on her stomach with a coloring book, humming to herself. It was ordinary, completely unremarkable, and Elena had never been happier. She'd been in Portland for 6 months now. Vasquez Tech was still running, but without her at the helm. She'd handed the CEO position to her COO, keeping only an advisory role. The decision had shocked her board, rattled her investors, and triggered a wave of media speculation. But for the first time in her career, she didn't care about the headlines. Her days began with walking Lily to school, continued with hours in the garage beside Marcus, and ended with simple dinners followed by stargazing in the backyard. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. That evening, as the three of them ate spaghetti at the kitchen table, Lily suddenly asked, "Daddy, do you love Elena?" Marcus glanced at Elena, who froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. "Why do you ask that?" he said. "Because you smile more when she's here. And you're not sad anymore like when Mommy died." Marcus set down his fork. "Would it bother you if I did love her?" Lily shook her head. "No. Mommy told me in a dream to take care of you. But now Elena takes care of you, so I don't have to worry." Elena's throat tightened. She reached across the table and took Lily's small hand. "Sweetheart, I'll take care of both of you." Later, when Lily was asleep, Marcus and Elena sat in the backyard. The air smelled faintly of cut grass and rain. "Do you regret it?" Marcus asked quietly. "Regret what?" "Leaving everything in San Francisco." Elena leaned back in her chair. "I didn't leave anything. I brought the most important things here." She turned to face him. "I spent most of my life thinking success meant having more. But now I understand, real success is keeping the right things." Marcus studied her for a long moment. "And what's the right thing for you?" "You, Lily. Breakfasts together. Afternoons in the garage. Bedtime stories. I want to be Lily's mother. I want to grow old with you." His brow furrowed slightly. "Are you sure? This life is ordinary. Nothing like your old world. That's exactly why I love it." She smiled. "Will you have me?" Marcus didn't answer with words. He leaned over and kissed her, slow, certain, full of promise. 6 months later, they were married. It wasn't the kind of wedding Elena's old life would have expected. The ceremony took place in the garage, the walls strung with LED lights and jars of Oregon wildflowers. Lily was the flower girl, scattering petals from a wicker basket. Maria made the cake. The guests were neighbors, regular customers, and a few friends from Lily's school. No reporters. No designer gowns. Just laughter, warmth, and the steady hum of belonging. When it was her turn to speak, Elena stood with Marcus's hand in hers. "I used to think I had to prove my worth through success," she said. "But Marcus and Lily taught me that our real value is in how we love and how we let ourselves be loved. Today, I'm not just marrying the man I love. I'm joining a family I'll protect for the rest of my life." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Sarah," he said quietly, as though to someone only he could hear, "don't worry. We'll be happy." In the corner of the garage, the Harley gleamed, repaired, cared for, ready for the road. Beside it stood Lily's bicycle, its training wheels long gone, and Marcus's old pickup. 3 vehicles. 3 lives. 1 family. Elena looked around at the people smiling, eating, dancing. She realized this was the first time in years that she wasn't thinking about the future or the past. She was exactly where she wanted to be. Sometimes, she thought, what we spend our whole lives searching for isn't in some distant dream. Sometimes it's right here, in the clink of forks on plates, in a child's laughter, in the courage to stay when you could leave. The life she'd built before had been full of victories. But this life, this messy, ordinary, beautiful life, was her greatest one.